Hi everyone, welcome to the Value. So today we're going to talk about monkeypox. It continues to spread, over 200 cases now, and as much as like 20 countries. So it's a big problem that is getting a little bit bigger as it goes on. Like all things, it didn't seem too bad when it was just in a few countries. Now we're dealing with quite a few countries, a lot of people. And European Union is in talks with two companies. One is Bavarvian Nordic, and the other is Siga Technologies, and these are companies I both talked about before. And it's because there are very few companies that actually make vaccines and antivirals, and these are two companies that are actually pretty good at this. So definitely two companies worth looking into. And regarding this article, so as it's talked about, European Union is working on a common purchase agreement for vaccines and antivirals against monkeypox. And basically, you have two companies. The EU is in talks to buy Bavarvian Nordic's vaccine, Ivanix, as well as the antiviral. I'm really bad at pronouncing these names. Tacovimab or something like that, developed by US-based Siga Technologies. And basically this guy Richard Bergstrom, he says that there's no contract, but it will go quickly, and we should have a contract ready in a week or so, and maybe some limited deliveries in June. So you're having the European Union talk to these two companies, and they've got a contract that's going to be coming up within around about a week's time. So you can expect these stocks will be announcing those very, very soon. So like Siga Technologies, they just had a massive boost on Friday of 41%, which is amazing. It did fall back, so there is a lot of profit taking in these type of stocks, where it went from like $7 to around the peak of over $12. Then it came back down to below $9 into $8.90, and then it just boosted up on Friday to $14. So volatility is quite heavy. There's a lot of profit takers, a lot of traders in these stocks. But overall, these two companies are providing something that's actually quite useful, and the European Union wants to get a contract and have these two companies supply them. So yeah, definitely worth looking into these companies. Bavarvian Nordic and Siga Technologies, they I find it actually I was looking at just these two companies when it came to monkeypox, and this article just happened to mention both of these, and they both happen to be in talks with the European Union, so that definitely gets things a bit more exciting when it comes to these stocks. Like they say, if an agreement is in fact reached, Bavarvian Nordic had enough supply to satisfy demand. So it's possible it's not a very big order, or that Bavarvian Nordic is just ramping up manufacturing of these vaccines and in this preparation, because they've seen what's happened. They know what countries will be wanting, and I'm sure they're in a lot of discussions for a lot of contracts. And the same thing with Siga, which has European approval for smallpox, monkeypox, and cowpox. So both these companies are pretty well prepared, and it's just more about signing these agreements and getting things on the move, basically. So looks like things in general seem to be going pretty good for these companies, though a very, very volatile stock price. Stock market's not opening today in the US because for Memorial Day, so we'll have to find out on Tuesday what happens with these stocks, particularly Siga Technologies, especially it having risen 41%. Is there going to be profit taking, or has the market basically looked at the kind of events that are happening around the world, the news that European Union is talking to these guys, and that a contract could be done in a week's time, and potentially there might be quite a few buyers lining up for these stocks, because at $1 billion for Siga Technologies, and about 2 billion for Bavarian Nordic. It's not too much, like in terms of the actual valuations are quite low in that standard. But the question is, how big are these contracts that are on their way? And could they be game changers for these companies? Because you are looking at a situation that we still don't know how bad it could be, but so far it's spreading in quite a big way that it looks quite serious, and potentially the companies that could solve this situation are basically these two. There are more suppliers of these things, but Bavarian Nordic has proven, they've got the vaccine. The US government has signed contracts with them, so of course the European Union would probably follow that as a good sign and want to sign contracts with them too. And probably the same thing with Siga Technologies. That's why the stock is moving up very strongly. And yeah, like there's a lot of things, a lot of good things that are coming out for these two companies. Of course, through bad events, of course. Hopefully monkeypox does not spread too much. But if it does, then at least you know these two companies are basically at the forefront of this, trying to fight this off. And yeah, like if you're following this and you want to invest in this sector, just like with COVID, you've wanted to find the companies that were at the forefront of fighting COVID. These are the companies that are at the forefront of fighting monkeypox. We don't know how serious it is quite yet because we haven't really seen a slowdown, which is probably the worrying thing for the rest of the world. And we're basically, if you're an investor and you want to invest in companies that will help this situation, these are the type of companies, and hence why I'm talking about these two companies, because I think they have proven with a lot of contracts and a lot of approvals, especially with their products being able to come onto the market already, that they are ready to take advantage of a lot of countries that need this kind of products, and then basically I assume they will do pretty well with it. We'll have to see, because again, these contracts might be small and it might just be stockpiling type contracts rather than contracts that governments are looking for long-term supplies, because again, if they only have like a short-term boost of revenue, that's not really going to be that great in the long run, because then they don't really have those strong, consistent revenues, which is what a lot of companies probably want. And I'm sure the market's kind of aware of it, because the market's probably half thinking that it's just kind of like a really, really short-term event, that once it's gone, no one really cares about these companies again and the revenues kind of disappear. Or is it a whole different scenario where the situation is much bigger? These companies are needed for a much longer time period, especially even when monkeypox goes away, you still need it. So with countries just placing orders just to stockpile, so we could see it going both ways as well. But we'll have to just monitor the situation, particularly with monkeypox, and then see how well these companies will go, because the truth is we don't know how much it's spread, but the thing that most countries will probably be doing will be stockpiling a lot of things, particularly the vaccine and the antivirals. And I think that's probably going to mean these stocks are going to do well, though they will fluctuate a lot. So beware if you're particularly investing in these type of stocks, that you don't buy at the peak, because buying at the peak and watching them drop is incredibly painful. So even if you buy at the peak, make sure you're not buying like with all your money, because the thing worse than watching something drop is not having any money at all to actually do anything about it. When it drops, you can't take advantage and buy more to lower your average costs. But yeah, like overall, let me know what your thoughts are, or if you've got any questions around these two companies. Yeah, I haven't been able to find any other smaller companies. Like there are other countries producing vaccines and antivirals, but they're such large companies that I don't see the impact making enough difference in their share price. And these two companies have really proved themselves capable, because there are a lot of big countries that have wanted to sign contracts for them to supply these countries, like say like the US and now with the European Union. So you would say, they likely have a very, very good product if these other countries signing up. Well, if you've got Europe in general wanting these companies to supply them. Yeah, so until then, good luck investing, everyone.